Good afternoon, basketball fans, and welcome to the 38th annual 2026 BC School Sports 1A Boys Basketball Provincial Tournament right here at the Langley Event Center. This afternoon's 1A final features from Caramios, the Similkameen Sparks, taking on from Vancouver, the St. John School Eagles. Now, basketball fans, let's meet the teams. Introducing the Similkameen Sparks. Starting at guard, number 1, Jasdeep Dhaliwal. Guard number 2, Krishan Terbasket. Forward number 3, Anoop Graywall. Forward number 4, Darius Wallace. Forward number 6, Dilnaz Brar. Forward number 8, Suk Dhaliwal. Forward number 10, Balkaran Lidhar. Forward number 14, Japnor Brar. Center number 15, Thor Sturgeon. Guard number 16, Kern Doolin. Guard number 17, Nash Marvin. Forward number 21, Dexon Lewis. And forward number 23, Owen Parrott. Similkameen Sparks are coached by head coach Aaron Kessler. And now, introducing the home team, the St. John School Eagles. Starting with the guard, number 1, Jacob Bothan. Guard number 2, Douglas Cassidy. Forward number 3, Luke Stokes. Guard number 4, Kai Van Bergman. Forward number 5, Brandon Lamb. Forward number 6, Mickey Wang. Forward number 7, Harry White. Guard number 8, Keon Ashfar. Forward number 9, Matthew Lau. Forward number 10, Roop Callon. Forward number 11, Remy Anderson Francois. Forward number 13, Matthew Lee. Forward number 15, Philip Wong. Center number 23, Lucas Pawlowski. And guard number 23, Jamie Watt. Head coach for the St. John School Eagles, Jonathan Kinman. Basketball fans, your officials for today's matchup are Gino Bondi, Daniel Bondi, and Fred Apollinero. And now fans, if you are able, please rise and remove your hats for the playing of the Okanagan song. Fans, please remain standing and join Kiana Ashvar for the singing of O Canada.
True. And we're right here with you on the air from the Langley Events Center. I hope we're coming through loud and clear to you. Howard Samura, along with our analyst Kelvin Westbrook, as we get set on the final day of the 2025-26 Senior Boys Basketball season. It's Championship Saturday here from the Langley Events Center. And it will be the first of four. Similkameen, the Sparks, the number 10 seeds, the underdog in the Road Blues against St. John's, the defending champions out of Vancouver. And it will be a dandy of a basketball game. Of course, we have AA, AAA, and Quad A to follow as we get set here now for the opening tip here. The crowd's already starting to filter in, and I hope the rest of the country is looking for the only place we do it the best with BC Boys High School basketball right here in the Langley Township. And Kelvin, this is an interesting matchup as we get set here. An underdog, a 10 against a 1, but not an ordinary 10.
No, not an ordinary 10 at all. They got upset in their tournament out in the Thompson Okanagan and finished in 3rd place, which dropped them down to a 10 seed. But as they've proven in this tournament, they played much better than a 10 seed normally would. And
we're going to get to see how that goes today, as the first basket of the game is going to be scored by number 11, Remy Anderson-Francois. If the surname sounds familiar, the younger brother of Viv Anderson-Francois, last year's MVP. And here come the Similkameen Sparks. They give it up under some pressure and a quick run out here, and they're going to score another easy basket there. Keon Afshar, who's really been one of the leaders of this team.
Yeah, Keon's really an incredible young player. He was a really key second option for them last year when they had Viv Anderson-Francois, and now he's really taken the reins this year as a leading scorer.
Yeah, great to see that happening under the head coach, Jonathan Kinman, who Kelvin knows well. I know well. He's been our analyst here many times, but of course, coaching in the game here. We'll talk a lot about 1A basketball today. What a great little flip there on the baseline. Can't get that to go as Anderson-Francois came in hard. Foul called down low.
Yeah, St. John's has really brought that intensity that they're known for right off the bat, and I think Similkameen has been a team all tournament that's been able to do this to other teams. They bring the energy, they bring some defensive intensity right off the bat, but St. John's is giving them a little bit of their own medicine here.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun to see how Similkameen copes with it. They've already beaten number 7, number 2, and number 3, and now they're facing number 1 here as the 10 seed. So the old Cinderella Hoosiers here from Similkameen, the fruit stand capital of Canada, and they talk about that proudly. Free throw is going to be made there by St. John's. That's number 22, Lucas Pulaski. See how this works out. I've heard so many great things about Bakaran Litter, number 10, the 6'4", grade 11. And that's the shot right there.
Yeah, Similkameen's played with the lead, and they played from behind so far in this tournament, so they're comfortable in these sorts of situations. If they can keep it close, their coach and I were talking before the game that they've had 8 close games this year. They've won by a basket, and so they're ready to play in close competition.
Kelvin, great insight there in terms of their unflappability, and we'll see if it can happen on the highest stage of the 1A game here today. Great job on the baseline. Move on the baseline there by Curtin Doulahan. So a bit more spark into the Sparks here. Cassidy, the young guard who lit it up in the second and third quarters yesterday. From 14 feet, the shot is not going to fall there for Afshar.
That's Afshar's game, though. He'll rock you back and forth. He'll hit you with a couple of different moves, and he likes to get into that mid-range. He has a really nice 15-footer.
And as I've been editing photos and getting stories on in between writing and watching these games, I'm always seeing his pictures. The photographers kind of take a liking to him. He's always soaring to the basket. We'll see what he does here in terms of helping his team. But this St. John's team under Jonathan Kinman has slowly been knocking at the door, knocking it down last year, and maintaining that number 1 ranking. I believe it was number 1 wire to wire. It was
number 1 wire to wire. We went down to the St. John's tournament as the Haida Nation team this year, and we were able to play a fantastic game and take them to overtime. Yeah. And that was their closest single A competition of the whole year.
Yeah, there you go. And I loved watching your team play throughout the week. But a quarterfinal loss to Similkameen, I mean, it shows right on a given day. The seedings aren't going to matter. You've got to be ready to play these games. And Similkameen brought a ton against you guys.
Yeah, they did. And there's a lot of parity across the province in single A, but in particular in this tournament, the Thompson Okanagan has shown how strong of a zone they are, with a couple of teams that gave Similkameen a good run in that zone championship that didn't even make this provincial championship.
Isn't that something? The shot there is too strong and off the mark by Balcara and Litter. And right down the floor now, Cassidy. Douglas Cassidy. Inside he goes, in the trees, gets stripped away right there by Soup Dollywall.
Yeah, Cassidy was a key figure in their championship run last year. He had 2 late threes in the fourth quarter that really helped propel them over Unity, so he's a player to watch tonight.
Yeah, I remember that game, Unity Christian, the victory here for St. John's.
Similkameen's done a good job early on here, Howard. They weathered that 6-0 run to start the game, and they've answered back with 4 points.
Yeah, I can see the steadiness and confidence you talked about, and the ability to play through adversity. And there's a big shot for 3 from Similkameen. Krishan Turbasket, so aptly named, knocking down the triple, and just like that, it's a 7-0 run with the Sparks up by 1. In the half court now, the Eagles are going to put one up, and they'll knock it down with Afshar knocking down the 3. So trading 3-pointers at each end of the floor. Similkameen trying to keep possession. They will. It's interesting. We should make a big shout out here, Calvin, to the Sanderson Fruit Market in beautiful Karamias, where head coach Aaron Kessler said there were hundreds of people there yesterday watching the live stream from the LEC. Shout out to you guys. They're so proud of the Similkameen Sparks, and we hope you enjoy our broadcast here from the LEC. Another 3 hoisted here for the Sparks, and it's nothing but net for Jazz Deep Dollywall. So 10-9. The last 3 baskets in this game have been triples. A contact underneath, and St. John's set to go to the free throw line.
Yeah, Jazzy Dollywall has been an incredible player in this tournament. You know, we were fortunate enough to watch, unfortunately it was to my team, an incredible display in the second half of the quarterfinal against us. In the first half he had 2 points, and in the second half he went off for 23 points. You know, our team rallied a few times in that second half, and every time he had an answer. And there's a lot of plays like that. You know, I feel like St. John's is keyed on him. They're putting a lot of pressure on him. They're poking the ball away in the full court, but he's steady, and he's such a skilled player, and he's able to create his own shot. And if Similkameen is going to have success today, I think he's going to be a large part of it.
Wow, that's interesting to hear. I wonder from a scouting perspective, like, is it easy enough to get film? Are you able to get film of opponents before the provincial start? That's got to be kind of tough.
Yeah, it is. I think so many of our schools, you know, who play all over the place, try to do a good job of live broadcasting. So it's on YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, and yeah, there's a little bit out there these days. You can get a good scout on teams before you play them.
That's good to know here, because I wondered if Similkameen had come in as a big shock to everybody, but obviously within the Type 1A community, well known for what they do. Nice job of dribbling there to get that open shot for Balcara and Litter. St. John's is taking some shots to the chops here from downtown by the Similkameen team, right now leading by 1. Get it down on the baseline. Turnaround effort. The big man down low can't get it. Underneath, the offensive rebound is going to be converted by Anderson Francois. That was Lucas Pulaski with the first shot. Another look at 3. Pulaski came out to guard him on the perimeter. The miss there by Turbasket.
I really love Similkameen's energy on offense right now, though. They're bringing high screens, they're moving the ball, they're getting good looks for the most part.
Interesting to see them facing this pressure situation on the big stage here today, and as Calvin said after that opening run by St. John's, trading blow for blow here with the number 1 ranked team. On the baseline, Pulaski with a nice soft touch. 15-10, a 5-point lead, so a little bit more stability here with St. John's after their initial flurry. Entry goes into the post, the turnaround, looking for that feed on the baseline through the hands of Similkameen's Darius Wallace.
Yeah, it was the right idea. You know, I think St. John's is going to focus a lot on Similkameen's 2 key players today, and it's going to be important that, you know, they're unselfish with the basketball and they really hit those role players, and those role players are outstanding players. They're going to be able to knock down some shots. I think that wasn't a bad idea.
We'll see what St. John's can do. Interesting to read the comments of the St. John's players after the game yesterday to one of our reporters here from Varsity Letters about, before it was a battle to get over the hump to win that title last year, Calvin. Now they're talking like it's business. It's a culture. I hear the culture and the business words being thrown around quite a bit, and obviously it's got to be coming from Jonathan Kinman.
Yeah, it does. And I talked to Jonathan on the phone a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about how he's been coaching for 41 years, and last year was the first year that they put a provincial championship banner up in their school. And when you do that, and then you have good teams like this that follow it, there is a culture of success in winning the builds.
And I know that's what you're building with your guys in the Haida Nation. There's a three-point basket there from the baseline corner that's not going to fall. They chase it down. The miss there from Anderson Francois. Cassidy flashing now with the basketball. Double team comes quickly. Pulaski on the baseline once again gets a chance with those soft hands, those big country Reeves hands on the baseline.
Yeah, he's a beautiful finisher around the basket. He's an outstanding rebounder. He's a great defensive player. He really plays his role perfectly for St. John's.
Yeah, isn't that great to see? Another three from the same spot there for Dollywall, this time just off the mark. So a nice offensive tempo set here in the last few possessions. St. John's down the floor. They are going to lose control of the basketball there with Philip Wong.
And I heard you talk about building culture and winning championships. Similkameen is one of the most storied single A schools in the province. And, you look up there at the old banners, and they've won in the past. They've had some great teams. And it's nice to see this team with so many grade 10s and 11s that are going to be back next year. They're building on that rich history Similkameen basketball has.
Isn't that great? Krishan Trebasket's the only senior on the team who starts, and there's only one other, Dilnaz Brar, and the rest of them are 11s and 10s, as Calvin says, and they'll be coming back with a fury next year. There's no question about that. Pulaski again measures a nice short shot, medium range job, can't get it done, and here's Litter. Quickly down the floor he goes. Trebasket now. While Karin Litter, number 10, can play the tough game inside. He drives right to the basket.
Beautiful drive. We've seen a lot of that this tournament.
I just love it when we see great players from every part of our province just uniting here over these 4 days at the Langley Event Center. Entry there to Anderson Francois, who got into the paint, couldn't get it to go. Kick back, and there's a wide open three that's not going to fall for Afshar. Anderson Francois had a chance there, but Darius Wallace scooping away. Wallace asking for the ball. He goes down the floor. He lays it up and in.
Nice little pushback here by Similkameen. St. John's came out, went on a little 8-0 run there, I believe, and now Similkameen's answered back for 4 straight.
The big man rumbling down the floor. I love he puts on the Jets and he demands the basketball in the break, and he gets it. Here's Afshar. Puts a move on basket, wants some space, gets up in the air for that open shot. The turnaround by Trerbasket, or rather by Pulaski underneath. Gets a hand up, makes it. I can see Pulaski in the gym by himself at 6 in the morning doing the Mikan drill just over and over and over. Getting his reps in, has got such a nice touch around the basket. Litter loses the dribble, but the 15-footer is there for Cassidy. A jump ball call.
Yeah, nice hustle by Cassidy there to tie that up and earn the jump ball. When you talk about coming to the Langley Event Center and the history of single A basketball in the province, we talk about those good Similkameen teams. Those games and provincial championships were played all over the province. And what a special thing for single A basketball to now be at the LEC, to be with single A through quad A teams, to get to play their championship in the Arena Bowl in front of this many fans. It's such a positive thing for basketball that we see all players from all levels across the province playing in the same place.
Could not agree with you more. And there's so many touch points on that today that we can talk about, but just having a destination in mind as Darius Wallace goes off the window. Something young people can shoot for at the start of the season, the honor of coming down to Langley. And I'll tell you, it's gone as far as this. Last week, the girls' AAA MVP, I was talking to her dad after the game, and he says to me, well, she had the idea that she wanted her ball spitting moment from the time she was 11, and I asked her, what do you mean? He goes, come on, when you're introduced for the semifinals and finals, if you're there, you get your own video and you get to spin the ball on your finger. That's been the driving force for her to come down with her team, and she was named the MVP. So I love hearing that kind of stuff.
Oh, I love it too. It's such a special experience for kids, and the LEC and BC School Sports and the BC High School Boys Basketball Association do such a great job of highlighting kids and making them feel, as they should, superstars when they come down here to the Langley Event Center.
Kelvin, you couldn't have put it any better. That's a great way to talk about why we're all here today. And as St. John's gets down the floor, they're going to get a basket there for number 5, Brandon Lamb. Going to give him a 5-point lead here. There's about a 12-second difference in the shot clocks here as we get down to the final 35 seconds. Oh, off the window from Litter. He sprays the shot and it goes off the glass. What a game we're having here in the first quarter. Back they go into the paint to pass a bit awry, but they recover in the half court. Here's Afshar. Shot clock now literally identical with the game clock. Going down to 6 seconds. Taken away. Are they going to get a shot off? It's good if it goes. Oh, and they don't miss by much on the shot by Jasdeep Dollywall. 21-19. Can you stand it? And what a great first quarter of play.
Oh, an incredible first quarter. And I think a big key for Similkameen is St. John's is a high-powered offensive team. You know, I like to call them the St. Pats of single-A basketball. They put 5 guys on the floor that can all score, they can all dribble, they can all shoot. And so in order to play with them, yes, you're going to have to bring some defensive intensity, but you're also going to have to score with them.
Yeah. And they've met the challenge here, and this team from the fruit stand capital of Canada has really held its own. It's such, you know, when there's a tagline to something, it's so cool. When people who have no rooting interest but take an interest at this time of the year can find something they like that they want to cheer for the other team, and I think that's part of the fun too. Hey, I got to talk about your career though, right? People are coming up to me and they're looking at me and they go, "Oh, you're doing the game with him. Let me tell you about him." And I counter them and I say, "Listen, I know about him." I'm talking about you, Calvin Westbrook, because I've been covering you since you were in the 10th or 11th grade. When you were at GP Vanier Secondary under the legendary Larry Street, who, by the way, is here today. And we'll get to your scoring stuff later, which is legendary. But your high school experience, what has it meant to you now looking back fully 20 years after you graduated from high school?
Oh, it was an incredible experience. You know, having a coach like Larry Street has really influenced me positively as a coach these days with the impact that a coach can have on their player.
Yeah.
And Larry, you know, wasn't only a leader for me with basketball, but he's a leader with me for, you know, how we carry ourselves as individuals, how we give back to our communities, which he did in Port Moody, which he did in Courtney. He's done all over the province.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I feel really fortunate to be one of those players that was able to learn invaluable life lessons from playing high school basketball in British Columbia, and have wonderful people like yourself and Larry kind of highlight that and lift you up. And the amount of confidence that brings for these young men that we're watching play on this floor right now, you know, playing in this experience, having these adults lift them up, it's only going to be a positive experience for their lifetime, Howard.
I feel great for after you say that, I feel even better about what these kids have here with their coaches, respectively, Coach Kessler and Coach Kidman, in this basketball game. The experience you get from this is the highlight. This is something you talk about in your later years, but just the everyday process of being a part of a high school basketball team, which I never was, and why I'm so entrenched in wanting to tell stories, Kelvin, is exactly that. It just seemed to me to be so powerful. And when I hear feedback like that, it's just so reassuring to all of us who love this great game. St. John's now, Pulaski rather. Beautiful stroke there, but it's not going to fall for Cassidy. Pulaski again with the basketball. To drive the dish on the baseline, sharing the ball here. And Afshar off the mark.
Yeah, you know, and seeing both these teams in the championship final, you know, the famous Pat Summitt, Tennessee women's basketball coach, always said, hey, the point of winning is that there's all these wonderful things that come along with it.
Yeah.
So these two teams, one of them is going to come away today the provincial champion, but all the lessons that go along the way through the season of them getting to this point is the real value as they get to our age from sport.
Yeah, and it's so great to also hear that, because it is so neat to see all these coaches, and I might not know it, but I go up to interview them after games. Oh, I played at Centennial. I'm talking about their coach at Enver Creek, who told me, hey Howard, I played at Centennial. You might not remember me, but I was on the team that Rich Chambers coached in this year, and these were the guys on the team, and he's listed them all. He goes, you talked to me once when I was in grade 11, and I'm like, that was 20 years ago. And it's so neat that everyone's so connected with what history means in this game. And it's because we keep track of our history, right? In this sport, better than anybody in the province.
Yeah, and I mean, I really appreciate you highlighting my high school career, but I want to highlight you. That's the magic of what you do. And I see, all these young journalists now that are out there, and they're on social media now, they're on Instagram, they're highlighting what young players in the province are doing.
It's great
and,
to see.
people like myself and like that coach from Enver Creek, they remember that from their high school days.
I'm so glad it means something to people, and that's why today is like Christmas. And I'll tell you something. When John Kinman, I said to him, John, I don't want to talk to you about the analysts because you are in this thing and you are seeded 1. That's all I said to him. He goes, when it's official that I can't be, I'll look and I'll get back to you. He said, sent me your name. And when I told you it would be a career highlight if you'd do this game with me, Kelvin, and you said yes, I went yes. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Howard. I appreciate it.
You're an absolute natural behind the mic, by the way. It's stunning.
Well, thanks. I'm excited to be here today because, I came from what is now a Quad A school. At the time, there was no Quad A, so we were a AAA school.
Yeah.
I played basketball on what you could call the big stage of the Agrodome. And then I moved up to Haida Gwaii and became a single A basketball coach. And what an incredible experience to have that dichotomy of playing for a big school and now working at one of the smallest public schools in the province and understanding that basketball translates across all those levels. And single A basketball is an incredible level of basketball that I'm so fortunate to be a part of, and I'm glad to be here today to get to be a part of highlighting that.
Well, it's an amazing opportunity here to do game with you, and I know what people can see, their eyes being opened by how good single A basketball is, and played by teams from the city of Vancouver and from Karamias at the same time for a BC title is a crazy thing in and of itself. On the baseline, the contact there, and set to go to the free throw line, Kern Doulahan. Still plenty to reminisce about. We got the whole day here and lots to talk about, but this game right now remaining tight here as we start to delve into the stretch drive of the first half. Doulahan now at the free throw line.
I wasn't able to watch the second half of their game against Vernon Crushing yesterday because we had to play, but I caught the first half. I talked to the coach after the game, and they said that Kern Doulahan here was a key factor in the second half. He hit a few threes down the stretch that really helped him get back in the game. So I look for him to be a factor today.
Doulahan yesterday indeed hit those 2 threes in the third quarter rather. Big for them, their win over Vernon Christian. 69-67, boy, that was tight as a drum. St. John's now taking it hard inside. Anderson Francois doing his best. Boy, his brother Viv was good last year. And here they come, the Sparks, led by their point guard Jason Dollywall. Dollywall's going to pull up from the elbow, shy there off the end iron, batted out there. But right to St. John's, and Afshar putting the moves on Litter. Philip Wong. Pulaski with a chance, but some nice defense there from Similkameen's Soup Dollywall, number 8. There's a 3-ball. Not unfamiliar territory for Lindar, who's been hitting those throughout the tournament. That one by Wong is dispossessed. And Similkameen now with the basketball. Dollywall to Litter. Works off the screen from about 16 feet, puts it up and loves to bank stuff home.
That's his game. He likes to get into that mid-range. He can really knock down those jumpers. I think right now, he's pumped up. He'll take those couple that he's banked off the backboard. He's a great player, and he's hitting big shots.
23-21. St. John's with a 2-point lead here. We are in for a dandy to begin our 4-game schedule here. 2A, 3A, 4A to follow.
You know, we talked a lot so far about Similkameen's offense, but one thing that's really impressed me about their team throughout the whole tournament is their defensive intensity.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it right now. St. John's, like we talked about, is a really talented offensive team. And Similkameen is not giving them a lot of room out there. They're matching the physicality.
Yeah.
They're keeping them from getting easy baskets at the rim. And they're contesting the three-pointers. And if they keep this up, you know, I would have expected at this point to be a bit of a higher scoring second quarter, but the first 4 minutes, it's been a bit of a defensive lockdown situation.
I really showing the job that Aaron Kessler is doing with this team. As they battle inside, St. John's is going to find a way to score it there with Brandon Lamb. Kessler himself, a Spark graduate, and was part of their back-to-back titles in 2000 and 01. Now Litter scores it. And it continues to remain a one-possession game. So head coach to rather former player on a championship back-to-back situation with this Sparks team. Now the head coach. .51 remaining to the half. We've decided nothing yet. This is everything it promised to be based on the underdogs and the favorites meeting on a level playing field here. Afshar pumps it back up top. Here's Lamb, the dish. Anderson Francois off the mark there, and a foul committed after the play. Brandon Lamb getting called for the foul.
Yeah, St. John seems a little bit out of sorts right now. Normally they spread the ball around the perimeter, and I think Similkameen's ball pressure on the three-point line is really causing them a little bit of disruption, and they're making a little bit more errant passes. They're a little bit more prone, turnover prone right now. And I'm interested to see if Similkameen can keep this up for the rest of the game.
Basket from the high post, knocks down the jumper, just turns and fires, ties the game at 25. Little runner's not going to fall, but Pulaski underneath is going to get fouled as he worked hard for that offensive rebound.
And that's been a real factor all tournament is Suk Dollywall, number 8 there. He's been able to be an excellent rebounder in the tournament. He's both on the offensive end and the defensive end. He's physical. He boxes out. He seems to be the member of Similkameen who does all the small things that leads to being able to win championships.
I love that kind of player. Part of the important recipe of a championship team, a championship contending team as well.
And Darius Wallace comes in for him off the bench here, and I've been extremely impressed with him throughout the tournament too. I watched him a lot in that first game against South Point, where he came in and actually played quite a lot for Dollywall, and he was a key factor in why they won that first round game.
And they have some physically imposing people that can take up a lot of space underneath and be so effective. Shot is not going to fall there for Dollywall.
Well, that's Dollywall's game, though. If St. John's keeps giving him that 15-footer, it's going to be trouble. It's going to be trouble at some point in the game for them.
Coming into the game now for St. John's, it'll be Harry White, his first appearance of the game, the 6'1", grade 11 forward. And for Similkameen, Terbasket now back into the game, wearing number 2. He's icing that hit for the last few minutes. He's got the basketball now back up top. He goes to Litter, back to Dollywall, wants the 3, and he's gonna just swish it. What a beautiful three-point release. So just like that now, Similkameen leading 28-26, overplay, and they get a steal. They're gonna go right down the court, lay it up and in. What a great job of anticipation by Kern Doulahan.
That's a well-timed timeout by Jonathan Kinman. You know, he just gave me a little wink there. You can see that his youngsters are just getting a little bit rattled with that pressure we talked about. And, you know, right now, Similkameen, they haven't even used one of their main weapons. Jasdeep Dollywall has been incredible this tournament. And what a good sign for them that he hasn't had to get going yet in order for them to be leading this game so far.
Isn't that something?
I'm really impressed. You know, a lot of people across the single A world this year, rightfully so, sort of said, you know, it's St. John's tournament to lose. They walked into the single A tournament.
Yeah.
They beat all the single A competition they played this year. They played a lot of AAA and Quad A teams throughout the year to get themselves ready for this moment.
Sure.
You know, but watching Similkameen play throughout this tournament, talking to Jonathan, I knew that he knew today was going to be a game.
It was going to be tough, yeah.
And, you know, I think that's kudos to what Similkameen's doing, but it's also kudos to that experience of playing close games throughout the year. You know, if I look at the results out of the Thompson Okanagan, Similkameen lost their opening round game to Barrier. Apparently they were up 37-12 to start that game.
To who?
To Barrier.
Oh, okay, you said that at the top, yeah.
Apparently Similkameen was up 37-12 to start that game, and Barrier was able to come back and win that game. And then, you know, Similkameen's resilience is incredible. They went back and they were able to win their way through the back door of the Thompson Okanagan tournament and then win a really close game, I think by 4 points to St. Anne's to make it here to this championship. So they've been through adversity. They've played difficult teams. They played in high pressure. And so far in the first half, they're showing it today. What
a road to the final it's been for them. That's amazing. And the basket there by St. John's by Brandon Lamb. So pulling to within 30-28, coming out of the timeout, a good sign for St. John's. Yes, deep dolly while looking inside. And Calvin, it's so interesting what you said about all those terms. I actually wrote that down. They played in 6 3A and 4A tourneys and went 16-7 against 3 and 4A competition. I mean, you're geographically positioned to be able to do that. And for a team like Barrier, your team, I mean, it's tough to get that kind of competition.
Yeah, it is. It's tough to play those next level teams, though. So, you know, from Hattiguai, it's a 1 hour drive, 8 hour ferry, but we go over and play Charles Hayes to start our season every year because they're a storied AA program. They're physical, they're larger than us, and it does get you ready to play single A competition for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's good. You got to work extra hard. But the competition coming there. What a move! Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? What an explosion off the dribble by Barkaran Litter. And he puts it down with absolute authority. 32-28 the score. That one's going to roll off, but my goodness.
He is an explosive player. And that's actually one thing that's been talked about the single A tournament. There are some real dunkers. Yeah. You don't always see that in single A basketball. and you know, this year, Meadow Ridge had an incredible young athlete. He had 42 points in this the other night, and he had a couple of huge transition dunks. But you know, Lidar, we saw it in our game. He had 2 dunks early against us, and for a player like him to be able to rip through the middle and hammer in traffic like that, it's pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome. And you know what? When I saw that, Cal, the first thing I thought was, is there some guy who heard a rumor, got on a plane and flew here, and he's got his hat pulled over his eyes, and he's behind one of the posts, and he's going, did anybody else see that? And he's calling and saying, hey, there's a kid down here. It makes me think of Dick Davey at the Agrodome watching Steve Nash, you know? It's kind of cool.
Oh, it does. That's a fantastic story, and I agree. I wonder if the Okanagan college coaches watched these guys a few times this year, actually.
Oh, my goodness. And Dollywall there with a miss. Wallace with the rebound. Darius just making the turn is going to knock people over, and it's Dollywall for 3. 6-point lead now. What a job they are doing here. Now it's up to St. John's to find an answer. Half sharp. Now to Cassidy. Drive and dish. The shot for 3 is going to go off the back iron. And a miss there by Lamb. He's got it again. With a new shot clock here. 2:09 left in the half. Cassidy will miss that one. Good job there by Pulaski to snare the loose ball. Another 3, and boy, they don't come up with points. An extended half-court session. And they're going to come right back down the floor, and Dollywall ripped away by Wallace. Back up top they go. Oh, and it's not going to fall for Litter.
Oh, what a series of events there in that play. One thing I'm noticing for Similkameen is, despite St. John's missing a few shots there, it's going to be important that they keep them off the offensive glass. They got 3 possessions there. They got 3 good looks. Yeah. And I think Similkameen needs to continue like they were early in the game, boxing out and keeping St. John's off the glass.
Wow. Yeah, the energy right now, palpable here in the air Feels you can cut it with a knife almost. By no means full, but a real decent crowd here. Seated in this this biggest arena, the home of the Vancouver Giants, but the largest single game attendance is for the BC Boys High School Basketball Championships in the history of this building, and that should tell you something about the appetite to come and watch great boys high school basketball.
Now, even as a coach, when you come down here, and for all the coaches out there listening that have been to this event before, it's hard to find that balance of watching tape and you know, being prepared with your team for the game, because you want to be at the gym all the time watching all these incredible basketball games that are happening in all the different facilities here.
Yeah, it is an absolute fest of basketball for 4 days. And they will utilize the East Court, the South Court, the Center Court, and this building here, the Arena Bowl, along with the Field House. So 5 different venues get used annually for the boys tournament. Here's Litter in the half court. Oh my goodness. A no call there, and Coach Kessler not too happy with that one. Afshar. You can tell how tight St. John's is right now in and around the basket. Maybe they'll get this reverse to go. Beautifully done there by Philip Wong. Still with a 3-point lead here as Dollywall walks it over half court. Under a minute remaining, first half of play. Dollywall. Feather touch on the jump shot there against Ashbaugh.
Yeah, Gino Bondi calling a holding foul there on the rebound, and just speaking to that, it's a wonderful refereeing crew today. Like, how fortunate are we at this event to have the refereeing and the caliber referees that we do have.
Yeah, and the 3-man crews here, and it's the constant grading going all week to ensure the best officials here for the biggest games. Great to see. Through traffic they go, unable to find his way, Dillahan. And if you're Jonathan Kidman and the Eagles, you want to finish on a nice note here. Shot clock and game clock virtually identical here as we wind it down. Philip Wong now back to Afshar. Cassidy into a double team, recovers, and the foul is going to get called against Similkameen. And you don't want to get one with 2.8 seconds left in the half.
Yeah, you read my mind, Howard. That's a tough foul to take with 2.8 seconds left. They kind of forced him into a good trap situation, but now they put him on the line for 2, trying to close this gap to 1 before the halftime buzzer.
And Dollywall, his second. It would have been absolutely magnificent for him to go into the second half with just 1 foul. But what a half Similkameen has played. The Okanagan number 3, Thompson Okanagan number 3, as Calvin explained, the backdoor route, everything they've taken to get here. And they look up to that underdog promise. 35-33 is going to be the score after 1 half of play. We're going to get some numbers, be back in about 10 minutes time, set you up for the second half of our first championship game, the 1A final. Number 10, Similkameen 35, number 1, St. John's 33. Howard Smurra, Calvin Westbrook back with more from the Langley Events Center in a moment.
Never was really part of a big union like Laiuna, encouraging you to get out there, get the training. That's a lot of support.
There's more integration and more of